everyone, Monique here, Little Gems Creations 1. Today we are going to be working on a pair of Loom knit tube socks, and we're going to start that in just a moment. Hi everyone, Monique here, Little Gems Creations 1. Today we are going to be working on a pair of Loom knit tube socks. So these socks will fit any adult, and since they don't have a heel, it doesn't matter what size your foot is. So I make my tube socks 16 inches long, but that's because I have teeny tiny feet. But I would say that's the smallest length you'd want to go. You can go 16, 17, 18, 19. You'll decide what fits your foot best. We are starting from the cuff down to the toe. And yeah, so you're going to need your 24 peg knitting loom. You're going to need your tools, so the little knitting tool and the needle. You're going to need eight stitch markers or a felt pen. You're going to need 2 lengths of yarn, which will be for the toe part. They're roughly, let's see here. You'll also need a measuring tape. These are roughly 16 inches they were. So 2 scrap pieces of yarn, 16 inches. So whenever I'm working on a project or I'm sewing up a project, if I have a long length of yarn, I just tuck it aside. Of course, you'll need your scissors. You'll need your measuring tape. Today, I am using Mainstays acrylic yarn. For socks, it's better if you have a blend that has some nylon in it, but I use acrylic for almost everything, so I'm just going to go with my regular acrylic yarn. It just means that they won't last as long as... Did I find it? I found it. First pull. It just means they won't last as long as you're used to. Not you're used to, but last as long as something that has a nylon blend. Okay, so if you're going to use the stitch markers, I only have 5. You can use them, and you would start on the first peg. You'll skip 2 pegs, put one on the next peg, skip 2 pegs, put one on the next peg. Now, if you can see, because I don't have enough stitch markers, I have used felt pen. So my last 2, 3 are just done with felt pen. And all I did was put a little bit of felt pen in the groove there. Or you can put it on top. I found putting it on top, it rubbed off quite easily. Okay, so let's get our tool and we'll get started. Okay, so you need your knitting tool. Now, what we're going to do, your loom may or may not have a starting peg. For me, it does. So I'm going to hold my yarn just a bit under. See how I'm holding it under there? Okay, I'm going to go around that peg 5 times. Okay, and then that'll be on there pretty securely. Now I'm going to start by e-wrapping, but because you have those markers there, you don't want to move your loom too much because you don't want those markers to fall off before you've gotten the e-wrap on there. So we're just e-wrapping every one of our pegs. Okay. Oops. E-wrap. Oops. E-wrap each one of those pegs. So go around from the back, across the front, around from the back, across the front, around from the back, across the front. And we're going to just keep doing this all the way around. Okay, now we're getting to the fun stuff. Well, what I consider the fun stuff. And you see how wrapping around that peg, I didn't do a slip knot or anything. I just let it be. Okay, so we're back to the first one. So the first one has a stitch marker, and you're probably saying to yourself, what does that mean? And this is what that means. We are going to go around the stitch or the peg as if we're doing a U-stitch, but we're doing this as a purl. So we're going up from the bottom. We're going to grab that stitch, make a loop. We are going to pop off that loop, and you may have to use, because it's the first one, so it's a bit tight. Pop off that loop and put that purl on. Don't worry, I'm going to do it again. So the next two stitches are knit, so we're just going to do a U wrap. So you go around the post, you're holding it taut, and the bottom goes over the top. Okay, around the next post, holding it taut, bottom over the top. Go around the next post. This is a purl because we've got a marker. So you go down from underneath, you grab that first one, pull it through, make a loop. Now you're going to take this loop, pop it off, and put the loop you just made on. Okay, I hope that's clear. We're going to do it again. So the next two stitches are knit. So up and over, around, hold taut, up and over. We got a marker, so we know that this is a purl. Go from the bottom to the top, pull, get your loop. Holding onto your loop, you're going to pop this stitch, and it's okay to use your tool to pop it off. And make sure you don't lose that loop, and that loop is what goes on. Then we're doing another knit and another knit, and we have a stitch marker, so we go around. We're going from the bottom, pull through, make a loop using, I kind of use that loop also as leverage to pop off the other one, and then you put that loop on. Okay. Then, sorry, I had to get more yarn. Again, knit, knit. We got a stitch marker, so we're going to go around. We're going to go from the bottom up to the top, make a loop, pop that stitch off, but put the loop on. Pull tight. Then we're going to knit, and you're going to knit again. Now I would have a stitch marker here, but I ran out, so I'd put a bit of a mark with a felt pen. So we go up, pull down, make a loop, holding onto your loop, pop off that stitch. You'll get it easier as you do more of this. Okay, put the loop on the peg, pull tight, knit 2, 1 and 2. See, I've got another stitch there, a little mark, so I know this is a purl. Go from underneath to the top, pull it through to make a loop. Using the loop as leverage, we're going to pop that stitch off, put the loop on the peg, pull your working yarn tight. Now we're going to knit, knit, and then we have a purl, so we're going underneath, pull through, make a loop, pull your stitch off, put your loop on, tighten your yarn, knit, and knit. And there you go. Okay, guys, so you did 1 round. Now you're going to repeat this. After you've got about 5 rounds in, you can take this thing off. Heck, you could even do it now if you wanted to. And you're just going to continue this, and using your measuring tape, you will measure to see how long it is. So right now we're at 1/4 inch. And as it gets longer, you're just going to keep measuring it until you get to 16 inches, okay? 16 inches, or if you do centimeters, that's roughly 41 centimeters. 16 inches. So, and that's for a small sized foot. So my feet are size 5. So I would say maybe that's for size 5 to 7. But if you have bigger than a size 7, I'd probably go 17 inches and so on and so forth. It all depends on how long you want your socks to be. It's a tube sock. It has no heel. You can make it as long or as short as you want. So I recommend 16 inches for a small foot. So you just keep going with this until it measures 16 inches. Then you come back to me and I'll show you how we finish it off by doing the toe. Okay? See you in a bit. Okay, so now I have got my 16 inches. So what we're going to do is we're going to start working that toe, okay? So we're going to go back to where our working yarn is. We are going to grab our needle. And some of that scrap yarn I said to put aside, okay? Thread the needle. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go from the top to the bottom on 12 stitches. Now you want to leave a bit of a tail from the scrap yarn. So we'll leave, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches. Then you go to the next stitch from the top to the bottom. Don't get tangled around the post. And we're going to do this for 12 stitches, okay? From the top to the bottom. From the top to the bottom. Do this for 12 stitches. Meet me back. Okay, so I've done that for my 12 stitches. So I'm going to take my needle off and we're going to just leave this hanging, okay? Now taking our other scrap piece of yarn, thread your needle, and continuing where you left off, we're going to count another 12 stitches, okay? From the top to the bottom, leave a bit of a tail. Okay? And for 12 stitches, top to the bottom. Don't get hooked on your pegs. I always do that. Top to the bottom. Top to the bottom. Do this for 12 stitches. Meet me back. Okay, so I've done that all the way for those 12 stitches. So 12 and 12, working yarn is here. So now what you want to do, let me just move that out of the way, is without disturbing your scrap pieces of yarn, you're going to pop these stitches off of the pegs. Don't let that scrap yarn fall out. It shouldn't want to, but if it does, just don't let it. Okay, so we'll just go like this. And we're going to do this for all of it. All of the stitches, even when you've gone through the one thing of scrap yarn. Okay, here we go. All the way through. And then we will go to the next step. Okay, so it's all off of the loom. You can put your loom aside. Okay, so with your working yarn, you're going to want about 2 feet of the yarn and then cut. Now, taking your scrap yarn, you just want to take both ends. Don't undo it. Okay, make sure you're not dropping any stitches. Okay, we are just going to take both ends and we're going to shimmy those stitches a little bit towards the center. Okay, see, I don't have them tight together, but just a little bit closer together. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay, we're just going to kind of shimmy those towards the center. Okay, now taking your needle, you're going to thread that 2 feet of yarn that was still attached to your sock, okay? We are going to go to where it is. So here's our scrap blue yarn. We're going to go to that first loop on the blue yarn. So our working yarn is coming out of it. We're just going to pick up the loop. We're not picking up the scrap yarn. We are going to make a loop with our yarn. We're going to go through the loop once, and we're going to go through the loop twice, same direction, and we're going to pull that tight, and that made a knot. Okay, we're going to have like 2 knots in this whole pair of socks. So now what we're going to do is we're going to alternate taking from one side to the other, and this is what is called the Kitchenerette stitch or something like that. Okay, so I just did the blue one by tying the knot. Okay, then I'm going to go to the white one, the white side, and I'm going to pull through. Okay, then I'm going to go to the next blue one, just the loop. Sometimes you'll have to, and just pick up the loop, not the scrap. Okay, pull tight. Then go to the white side. Pick up just the loop. Okay. So, white, blue, white, blue, white, blue until you get to the other end. Do that, meet me back. So I did that all the way across. Now I want to pull those stitches kind of tight. Not overly tight, but pretty tight. And then what you're going to do, and it should work, is you're going to remove these scrap pieces of yarn. Okay. And we're pulling that toe tight. But you'll notice it's not going to curve in a circle. It's going to give you a flat edge. Now, just like we did before, we've gone through that last loop, but we're going to go through it one more time. We're going to make a loop. We're going to go through that loop once. We'll go through that loop twice. And we are going to make a knot. Pull tight, make a knot. Okay? Then, after you made that knot, we are going to put our needle and our thread into the inside, and we're going to turn our sock inside out. Okay. Turning the sock inside out. There's my needle, and there's my knot. We pulled it through to the wrong side, okay? Now, we don't want any more knots in our sock. So we're just gonna go up this edge. You never cut where you knot. I have made that saying into a t-shirt because I have had that bite me in the bum so many times where when I was first learning cutting where not and then having our item come unraveled. So you always want to do some stitches up, and then sometimes I go back down, but you're just catching the inside loops. You're not going all the way through to the front. Okay, so I've done what, 12 stitches or something. Then you cut that. You go up to your cuff and you should have a thread there. Okay, pull that through, and just like you did on the other side, you're just gonna loop this through. And you do that for the length of your yarn. You can go back and forth, up and down, whatever you want. And then you cut that. Turn your sock. And you see, it's really nice and stretchy. You turn your sock inside in. And there you go, guys. There is one tube sock. Knitted tube sock. Now I use these in the winter when it's cold. I use them as my lazy day weekend socks because they're quite thick, and I don't like the feel of them in runners. But you guys, I love the feel of these kind of socks in winter boots or rubber boots. And if you're like me, I wear little ankle socks during the summer. I'll just pop a pair of ankle socks on and then these big, nice woolen socks over top and wear those in my winter boots when I go sledding or whatever. And oh my goodness, it's just the best. So make the next sock and you got your pair. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you got any quality out of this video, please hit that like and don't forget to subscribe. I try to do new videos every Thursday. I put all kinds of goodies in my description, so check that out and have a great day. Bye, guys.